Hello, are you here to debate?
Hello.
Yeah, what's up? You here to debate?
Yeah, I am.
All right, can I get your name, age, and pronouns, please?
Yeah, it's Thomas, 41, and he, him.
All right, Thomas, which topic on the board did you want to debate about?
You guys were just talking, Christianity is terrible.
All right, Thomas. Yeah, I believe Christianity is terrible. I think it's a fundamentally flawed religion. I think any religion that says that slavery is morally permissible is a fucked up religion. What's your take?
Well, did God free slaves?
Yeah, he freed the Israelite people. Yeah.
Yeah. So he freed slaves also. Is that a good thing?
Sure.
Yeah. So, and I'm just curious, like if you went to war and your only remedy to the problem would be to just decimate the entire population, because that's ultimately what the goal of war is. Don't you think that?
I don't agree that that's the goal of war.
You don't think that's the goal of war?
No.
Well, do you think I have a right to be a slave?
Do you have a right to be a slave? What kind of question is that?
Yeah. Like, do you think I have a right to be a slave?
Like
if I
can you
want to be
sell
a slave,
yourself into slavery? Sure. If you
I don't
want
even
to
have
go
to sell
nuts.
myself. I could volunteer myself into slavery.
Sure. If you want to volunteer yourself into slavery, go nuts. Sure.
So, like in war, like if I throw up my arms and become a POW and say I'll be a slave for you in war, you think I have a right to do that too?
Sure, but I think that the people that are hold on, let me. Sure, but I think the people that are enslaving you are morally incorrect. Do you agree that the people enslaving you would be morally incorrect?
Well, but I mean, like, what if they used them to like dig trenches, to clean toilets?
Yep,
like,
I would say the
stuff
people
that
enslaving
soldiers...
you are. I would say people enslaving you are still morally incorrect. Do you agree that people that enslave other people are morally incorrect?
Well, do I have to not feed them then? And if they're not working, do I have to feed them?
That's not. You're avoiding the question.
Well, I'm not. I'm just wondering, like, they're POWs.
I'm going to ask the question. I'm going to ask the question again. I'm going to ask the question again. Do you think that people that enslave other people are morally incorrect?
Do I think they're morally incorrect? No, because I think that you agree that I have a right to be a slave, right? So if I choose to be a slave, am I morally incorrect? If I go up to somebody and say, "Please make me your slave," you just have to give me 3 meals a day and somewhere to sleep, and I'll work for you hand and foot.
I just want all of us to understand here that this man just told me that people who own slaves are not morally incorrect. That's what was just said to me. Well, in the year of our Lord,
you know what an indentured servant is, right?
Indentured servants are not slaves. They're indentured servants.
They are slaves.
They're not.
They
are
indentured.
Slaves. There's literally another word for it. It's called indentured servitude. There are two different words that mean two different things.
Yeah, that's a slave.
No, it's not.
That's a slave.
It's an
indentured slave by definition. It is.
It's not a slave by definition because an indentured servant is not property. Slaves are property.
Well, they certainly are property. They're contracted, aren't they?
Contracting somebody to do work for you for a set amount of time to pay off a debt is not owning someone as property. Indentured servants were especially if we go back to the Old Testament, indentured servants were able to.
You disagreed with that. You just said it's morally wrong, right?
No,
so
I didn't.
The people who have indentured servants
should I explain to you, or are you going to continue to? Owning a person as property is morally wrong. Indentured servitude was not owning a person as property.
They're contracted to you. Yes, it is.
If I contract
they live
somebody,
on your they live on your property.
Answer me your question. If I contract somebody to build a shed for me, and I go, hey, this shed's gonna take like 6 months. Go ahead and live here while you build the shed. You can live here while you build the shed. Go nuts. Is that bad? Is that indentured servitude? What if they owe me $1,000 and I say, hey, instead of paying that $1,000, work on this property for X amount of time, and you can even live here while you do it. Is that an indentured?
Part of the agreement, you only get 4 hours of free time a week, right?
Indentured servants in the Hebrew Bible, at least if we're going back to the Old Testament, had time off.
Well, I'm talking about modern day slavery right now also.
Okay, indentured servitude is not modern day slavery, so great. I'm glad we came to that understanding. Slavery and indentured servitude.
Also.
Yes, he also told people it was okay to own them.
God freed slaves
because those slaves were Israel.
It said when you're done, let me explain. God freed slaves, right? And then the Israelites were permitted to travel from one spot to some land that they were promised. And any opposition that they came to, God said, destroy it.
Which slaves did God free? Which slaves did God free? I don't need you to preach to me. I know the story. Which slaves did God free?
The Israelites.
Yeah, so it's not that he was freeing slaves, he was freeing the Israelites specifically. He didn't really give a shit about slavery. Right? He didn't care about slavery. This is why
the slave owners. This is why punish the slave owners
because they harmed Israelite people. He didn't give a shit about any other slaves anywhere else. Only the Israelites. Every other slave.
Well, you don't know that. The Bible doesn't say anything else.
Oh, exactly. Exactly. So yes, unless you can provide me proof of God helping any other slaves anywhere else, yes, I do know this.
Well, the abolitionists in America, did they free slaves anywhere other than America? Were they bad because they only freed slaves in America?
They ended slavery. God did not end slavery.
God certainly did end slavery.
No, he did not.
Jesus Christ ended slavery. Yeah,
was there still slavery in Egypt? Yes or no?
Was there still slavery in Egypt during Christ?
After Moses freed the Israelite people?
Yeah.
Okay, so God didn't end slavery.
Don't have slaves.
That's what I thought.
That's my point. You can't be a Christian and own slaves.
God didn't end slavery. That's what I thought. Actually, you can, because Paul specifically tells slaves to obey their earthly masters. Paul says no, he didn't.
That you cannot have slaves.
No, he didn't.
He commanded that you can't own people. Yeah, he did.
No, he didn't. Verse?
Yeah, he
did. What verse?
Do what?
What verse?
What do you mean, what verse?
Chapter and verse by G.
Well, did Jesus Christ own slaves?
Just because Jesus owned slaves doesn't mean he said owning slaves was not morally permissible.
Well, no. Jesus Christ led by example, right? And if he didn't own slaves...
Jesus also didn't have sex. Does this mean that having sex is bad? Jesus didn't get married. Does this mean getting married is... Jesus didn't get married. Is getting married bad? Jesus didn't use Google. Is using Google bad? We can't say just because Jesus didn't do something means that thing, that's the thing that we should outlaw, and that's something that Jesus is saying
but he led by example, and he saved...
You're really bad at this, Jesse. You're really bad at this, Jesse. You're so bad at this. It's actually
not really, because
really.
You're saying that you just said freed slaves is bad.
Yep. When did Jesus free the slaves? Show me Jesus freeing slaves. Go ahead.
Well, Jesus is God, right?
When did Jesus free slaves? No, Jesus is not God.
He freed the Israelites.
Jesus is not God.
Jesus, you don't believe in the Trinity?
Jesus never once says he's God.
Yeah, he did. He said the Father and I are one.
He also says that me and my what is it specifically? He says
he said the Father and I are one.
Nope.
Didn't he?
And he also says me and my disciples are one. So does that mean all of Jesus' disciples are God?
Yes. When you accept Christ, you become one with Christ. That is correct.
Wait, so if I accept Christ right now, then I'm God?
No.
Okay, so then being one with God does not mean you are God, right?
You're with Christ.
But you're not God.
You're not God, no.
Okay, so
that's like
Jesus
Mormon
saying
stuff.
So Jesus saying I am one with God is not Jesus saying I am God. It's just saying that we're one.
Well,
just like when he says me and my disciples are one. Just like when he says me and my disciples are one, it doesn't mean his disciples are Jesus, and it doesn't mean his disciples are God.
That's fine. You could just say you don't believe in the Holy Trinity, but
I don't believe Jesus is God because Jesus never claims to be God. That is something people put on him.
What do you think he meant when he said the Father and I are one?
Same thing that you mean when you say that you and Jesus are one. You're connected.
Well,
Thank you. Wow.
Can you even explain the Holy Trinity to me?
I don't think the Holy Trinity exists.
The Holy Trinity to me?
I don't think the Holy Trinity exists, so no.
Well, yeah, but can you to say it doesn't exist means you have an understanding.
Is Jesus God, yes or no?
Explain it to me?
Is Jesus God, yes or no?
Do what?
Is Jesus God?
Yes.
Based on what?
Yes. The Holy Trinity.
And where does the Holy Trinity state that Jesus is God?
Well, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, right?
Yep, that is naming 3 distinct entities. Where are you?
Here's the thing.
Can't provide source on that.
Let me try to explain it to you, because I don't think you understand the Trinity, right?
Unlimited soup salad, those are one right now. That's the duo, not the Trinity. Unlimited soup and salad, that's the duo.
Let me explain
and breadsticks.
To you
So yeah, the actual Trinity is unlimited soup salad and breadsticks from Olive Garden.
Yeah. So God did free slaves, though, right?
He freed Israelites.
He just didn't free them all. Slavery. You say that he's bad because he didn't free all. He
didn't end slavery. He just freed Israelites and then told Israelites, "You guys can now be the slave masters." That's what happened. He said, "You guys are now free to be slave masters, and I'm okay with you being slave masters. Okay with you beating your slaves with rods.
Well, you didn't let
I'm okay with you sleeping with your slaves. I'm okay with you taking your slaves as brides. I'm okay with all of this." No, you just don't read your own book.
After war,
you've proven this before, Jesse. You don't.
War?
We should let them go.
Execute prisoners? Should we execute prisoners, or let them and their families live and just in servant?
Do you know that there's a third option, which is you let them go?
But they want to kill you.
Says who?
Right? Like imagine it's a bunch of Trump supporters go to war with a bunch of LGBTQ people.
Wait. At the end of the Civil War, did the Union take the Southern colonies? Did they take the Confederacy and either kill all of the Confederates or make all of the Confederates indentured servants?
Actually, if you look it up, they executed a ton. They executed almost everybody. Yes, they went house to house, door to door, executing families that were slave owners.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did. You can look it up. What's that old Ferris Bueller movie, Honor and Glory, with Morgan Freeman? At the end, you watch the Morgan Freeman's regiment. Isn't it Glory? Look it up. It's Morgan Freeman's movie. It's called Glory.
My question for you is, did they execute the entirety of the Southern colonies, the people seceding? And the answer is no, and it's
attempted, no. They tried to. It's not to say that some people didn't escape, but they made an attempt to, yes.
No, they didn't.
You can watch the movie Glory. Morgan Freeman's in it. Look it up.
Guys,
at the end of the movie,
source is a fucking movie.
At the end of the movie, they go door to door executing
Wow, my
people.
Source is a fucking movie. Holy shit,
man. It's a historically accurate movie.
Holy shit. Did you guys know my source was a movie?
Accurate movie,
shit,
bro.
Man. I just looked something up, and you know what it says? No, the North did not execute slave owners as a general practice or policy. While some individuals in the North, like John Brown, engaged in violent actions against those perceived as pro-slavery, there was no widespread execution of slave owners by the North. Holy shit, man. One Google search. God damn. Isn't that crazy?
But there was. It said
so
there
what's
was,
your source?
Though, right?
So what's your source?
It said there. Well, my source is that, because you just said there was no widespread, which means that there was some, though, right?
Yep. Which means that the Union took the third option, which was letting the South go after the war.
No, bro. You can watch historically accurate movies about this.
No, movies aren't sources.
Glory, I believe is what it's called. It's a Morgan Freeman movie, and Ferris Bueller. I can't remember what Ferris Bueller's
dummy,
name
movies aren't sources. I hate to tell you this.
They are sources, though.
No,
they are. So
stories
aren't sources?
No.
So the story of like George Washington crossing the Delaware, that's not a valid story. It's just a story.
That's a recorded historical event. That's not a story. It's a recorded historical event.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. It's not, you know the difference between us. Do you know the difference between a story and like a recorded historical event?
Well, do you know what the difference between a fictional story is and a non-fictional story is?
Yes, but you know that nonfiction movies are embellished. Do you know that like nonfiction movies are embellished?
You know they can be, yeah.
They are most of the time, almost always.
Oh, so you're saying they're fake? So you're saying nonfictions are fake?
Yes, there's a lot of nonfiction movies that don't hold up under scrutiny and are fake. Yeah.
So you believe in fallacies, then, I guess.
What's the fallacy?
Well, you believe something is true and false at the same time. That's a contradiction.
No, I don't. That's why, because I don't believe movies are fucking sources, dipshit. I don't look to a movie.
How do you know slavery existed? I don't believe slavery actually existed because it's just a story.
Movies.
All those stories I've read about
slavery,
I don't believe it.
Slavery is not stories. Slavery is a recorded historical event.
It's not stories.
There's a difference between a story and a recorded historical event. I don't know if you know that. Do you know that?
Yeah, it's a story.
Do you know that, Jesse?
Yeah,
I just need to know that you know that.
Yeah, yeah, I do.
Okay. What's the difference between a story and a recorded historical event?
Well, a story is a way of telling a historical event, right?
It's not what I asked you. Can you answer the question that I asked you or no?
Well, a historical event is something that happened in time.
Can you answer
and
the question I asked you?
A story is a way of explaining that thing that happened in time, right?
Can you answer the question
Everything
I asked you?
is a story. If you open up a science book right now of anything about the past,
answer the question
that's a story,
I asked
bro.
you? Why would I open up a science book to learn about the past? Do you mean a history book? Do you know the difference between science and history?
Well,
okay.
I know you don't understand that. That's way over your head. Why would you open up a science book to learn about the past?
Yeah, why would you open up a science book?
That statement was way over your head. I understand
what about
that.
What about the past?
Let me try to bring it down to your level.
No. Tell me what about the past I'm going to learn from a science textbook. Go ahead.
Well, you could do like carbon dating. You know, that's how you learn one way about the past.
That's not learning a way about the past. That's learning the age of something.
You learn about the history of evolution by looking through the past.
That's history.
You could look at the history of many sciences, in fact, like flight. You could look at the history of flight, learn different sciences, what worked, what failed. You could apply that to economics. You could look at the economic history, which we use in America. We look at the past 100 years.
Sure.
That's
Jesse, one more time.
Our slave.
One more time, Jesse. Jesse, one more time. If I own slaves, am I doing a morally good action or a morally negative action?
If you own slaves,
yep.
Can I give you?
No, just answer the question. Is it morally good to own slaves or morally? Okay, that's all I needed to know. It can be. Fuck off. Jesus fucking Christ. Oh my God, I'm gonna have to get a new cord. I think it's my cord that's giving me issues right now. Did you guys know it can be morally bad to own slaves? It's not that it is. It can be. Get the fuck out of here. Also, did you guys know that if I open a science textbook, it will tell me the history of something? Jesse just cannot admit when he's wrong about anything. No, I hung up on someone that told me it's okay to own slaves. If you think it's okay to own slaves, just say that. Just say in the chat. Here's what I want to know. If you're in the YouTube chat right now, comment and tell me if you think it's okay to own slaves, so I know which of you to ban. Mods, if anyone says it's okay to own slaves, just ban them. I don't need them in the chat. Quite literally. What's up, everybody? Thanks for watching this video, and I want to give a special shout out to my YouTube members. Their names are on the side. Membership starts at $2.99 a month, and you get early access to videos, exclusive members-only videos, and access to the Red Mirror Media Discord server. Thank you again to my members, and thanks for watching.